Hey everybody, it's Drew, the Derm Dude, coming to you with your very best balls, beard, and tattoos. And on today's podcast, we have a dear friend back with us, Dr. Heather Woolery-Lloyd, renowned dermatologist from Miami. Always fun to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And for people just tuning in, if they haven't seen you and I over the years, we've worked together on different skincare lines. You've been on other podcasts I've done, but you are a very sought after and highly regarded board certified dermatologist in the Miami area. And you also have a really cool app coming out very shortly. We're excited for that, called DermFriends. So tell us about that.
Well, I'm excited to talk about it because it's something that I've been thinking about for years and finally it's come to fruition. And DermFriends is basically an app where when you have a problem with your skin, hair, or nails, whether it's brittle nails or you're looking for the best vitamin C serum, you can basically type in what your concern is, and the app provides you with a short curated list of what dermatologists actually recommend. So the reason why it's called Derm Friends is because whenever someone has a problem, they're like, oh, let me call my derm friend. And my friends call me and say, well, what would you recommend for this? And what would you recommend for that? And so it's just a really simple way to find the best products for whatever your skin concern is. And in the app, there will be options to even ask questions and see the latest new hottest skincare products. So it's something like basically having a derm friend in your pocket.
Which actually is really cool because I mean, you were my derm friend and still are, and I remember I used to call and text you all the time when my son was having very severe eczema issues, like on a hospitalization type level, and it was so great to have a friend who actually is a board certified dermatologist and expert versus going on Google and just seeing what paid advertisement serves you up and where they try to steer you. So it's vetted, it's curated, and it has yourself with all of your experience and credibility that is going to be a great resource when it launches. So we're excited for that.
Thank you. I'm really excited because I know that people feel overwhelmed when you look something up. I feel overwhelmed when I'm looking for something outside of my field and I end up reading, you could spend 45 minutes doing deep diving into the internet. And this is just a simple way to find out what works very quickly, from your derm friend, basically.
Very cool. Well, the first thing that being is that we are Derm Dude, and it's actually great to have a female dermatologist. And it's funny because as I reach out and speak with different experts and people, one of the first things a lot of women say is, "Oh wait, but you're Derm Dude," and I say, "Yeah, but we sell more tattoo product right now to women than guys." And I actually think the reason for that is that, frankly, women will take care of their skin more. We have a lot of guys as well, but women really put more thought into their skincare traditionally. It's a newer thing for guys to do that. And then women get a lot of tattoos. But we also, throughout our line, we have products that women want their significant others to be using as well, that whether all different types of grooming. So it's really great for us to have the perspective of a medical expert like yourself who also has the female perspective. So I'm glad that you are joining us on the Derm Dude podcast.
Yes, yeah, I definitely see. I mean, I see tattoos all day, every day. I see beautiful, beautiful tattoos in my patients. And tattoo care, I think, is something that we don't talk about enough. So I'm really excited to jump in and get some really scientific information out there because I think what I definitely find with tattoos, there's a lot of hearsay and a lot of, well, my friend said to do this and my friend said to do that. But really, there's nice published studies and established treatments that we know help to first heal a tattoo and also to help preserve, the beauty of a tattoo.
That's great. I'm so excited to jump in because there's so many myths out there, and there's so many armchair experts who have no idea. A friend of a friend of a friend said, and some of the things I hear people talking about doing and see people doing for their tattoos is scary. It's one of the reasons that we developed Derm Dude originally, which was we were a tattoo brand first because there was so little accurate information out there and we could not find really good products out there for tattoo care, so we developed them. And jumping in on healing a tattoo, I mean, I have one or hundreds, I don't know. That's my people say, how many do you have? But they ask me that all the time. I go, I don't know. They all run together, and I know how many hours, sessions, days, many. But when a tattoo is brand new, meaning you just got it, it just finished, you're leaving the tattoo shop. Obviously, we're entering the most vulnerable part of a tattoo and the need for it to heal. What do you suggest people do to avoid problems and to make sure that you're giving your tattoo the best chance to heal overall?
Well, the first thing is to keep it covered. That's the number one thing. So you always want to put something on the tattoo to help it heal, preferably some sort of ointment. I know we have Derm Dude, which is excellent for that, and to keep it covered. So you can use a nonstick dressing, or sometimes people use those clear dressings that just basically keep it sealed, because a tattoo in the beginning is a wound, and it's open to the, if it's not covered, it's really open to the elements and at risk for infection and poor healing. And we know in wound healing studies, over and over again, we know studies have shown that wounds that are covered heal better and more quickly. So the most important thing is keep in mind a tattoo is an open wound when you first get it, and you really need to do the same type of care that you would for any type of open wound to prevent infection and also to speed healing.
No, I think that's such good advice. And what happens is, you see people who will walk out of a shop and it could be raining out. There's pollution in the air. The sun is out. All of these different things that are instantly exposed to, and you're saying it so perfectly, it's a wound. I mean, it sounds nicer to say it's a brand new tattoo, but it's a wound. You just had, a needle going through the area anywhere from 50 to 1,000 times a minute, up and down, up and down, up and down. And sometimes a tattoo session is an hour, sometimes it's 6 hours. So that is a lot of puncture wounds over and over again that really need some thought and proper care. One of the things that I've done for years is kind of figuring out my own regimen of what really worked and what really didn't, because I started getting tattoos 25 years ago. So there was no internet, there was no Google, there certainly were no DermFriends. 25 years ago, most of my friends were dropping out of school, not getting medical degrees, so I didn't have anyone to ask. And a lot of what I experienced was a lot of trial and error. And I realized that by the time I went to my fifth different tattoo artist, that guy had a completely different way to take care of your tattoo than the previous guy. That was different than the previous guy. That was different than the other guy. And I just realized over the years that to this day, everyone in the tattoo world has some sort of a different opinion or perspective. So what I've really found and shared with people is the same thing. One of the things that you're saying is that when it's new and fresh, I'll put like a loose piece of saran wrap that the artist will do, very loose, so it can still breathe. One of the mistakes some people you see make is they suffocate it, and they'll just kind of tape it off and leave it. And when you do that, you're kind of creating like a incubator for like bacteria, aren't you? If you like suffocate it and wrap it off.
Actually, so the ceramic you mentioned is great. And you would think that covering a wound increases the risk of infection, but actually covering a wound actually decreases the risk of infection. So covering it is good. We do recommend, saran wrap is perfect because it kind of does adhere to the skin. But we also have in dermatology very similar dressings that are clear and adhesive that kind of keep it occluded. So we in dermatology typically do cover and occlude wounds, and that's because we think it, and studies show, that actually lowers your risk of infection. And that's why it's important to use an ointment too, because again, you need a barrier to protect your skin from the outside world.
Which was the next one I was going to bring up, and tattoo bombs. And there's so many out there. And very often people will use nothing. I know tattoo artists who've been doing this for 20, 30 years, who've tattooed thousands of people, and they'll say to this day that they just don't think you need anything, that, you just let it dry and nature will take care of it, or God will fix it. And, you're not trying to argue with people, but you also look and walk down the street. And I have people who come up to me and say, wow, this tattoo is great. How many times have you had it retouched, or is it brand new? And I'll say, no, this is never retouched once. I got it 9 years ago. And it's about taking care of them. So from, an ointment or a balm perspective, I'm a big fan of tattoo bombs. And there are some others that I've used from other brands that are okay. I'm not one of those people that says only our product is the only good one out there. If you don't use it, you're screwed. Not the case. But in developing ours, one of the things that I really felt strongly about was making sure that our tattoo balm was 100% natural, because it is an open wound. So I wanted to be, careful about that. And ingredients that would really soothe and calm and hydrate and bring down inflammation. Because again, to your point, which you just can't forget, it's such an important point, it's a wound. So you you want to include things in a tattoo balm that are going to take into account you have a wound. What is going to soothe, relax, keep it hydrated, and create an environment where it can heal over time in a healthy way, right?
Right. So, this is such a good point because ointments or balm, a balm is basically a thick ointment. How they work is that when you think about it, when a wound is dry, because your skin has to heal, you just said that, a tattoo is multiple puncture wounds, right? So the keratinocytes, which are the skin cells, kind of have to come in and connect back together to form a nice, perfect barrier before you have the tattoo. And they've shown in studies that when you have an ointment or balm on a wound, then those keratinocytes they travel over each other, kind of like the game of frog, or we jump over the person in front of you. The keratinocytes do the same thing, and they kind of travel over each other, and it's much easier. You can imagine with common sense for that process to happen in an environment that is very hydrated versus an environment that is completely dry, for that keratinocyte to kind of crawl over its neighbor and go towards kind of closing that wound. So we definitely know in dermatology that wounds that are have ointments or balm, which is basically a thick ointment, do better, heal more quickly, and are less likely to get infected.
Well, and even going back to the things you're saying, it's one of the reasons that we use aloe vera and different types of butters, and we use grapeseed oil, babassu oil, things that really are very friendly to a wound, but nothing that is going to create harm or an issue to an open wound. And you have to be careful of that. I've seen tattoo products marketed by other companies for brand new tattoos that have synthetic fragrances in them. And,
Right.
Speaking to other dermatologist friends of mine, they've said that can cause an allergy, that can cause a reaction. And, we recently came out with our scented tattoo bombs for the first time, and we were very careful and spent a lot of time to make sure that any scents that we did use were gentle, essential oils, natural in this case. And there were certain scents that we wanted to use when we were going through the formulation process and working with the doctors in the labs. We just realized straight up that they would be too aggressive for a new tattoo. They wouldn't be a good healing experience. So it's one of the things that, when you're looking at tattoo products, it's great to speak with doctors and experts and dermatologists and people who've also been doing tattoos for 20, 25 years, because they've also kind of figured out along the way what works and what doesn't work. And, sometimes common sense isn't so common.
Yeah, so I know derms, as you know, we've talked is, we're very careful with fragrance because a lot of people can be allergic to fragrance. So fragrance is something that is, many people tolerate fragrance well. I mean, not all people are allergic to fragrance, but we're just extra careful because unfortunately, people who end up at dermatologist offices are the ones who are more likely to be allergic to fragrance.
Yeah.
So, yes, we always, are very careful with that. I always say though, not everyone is allergic to fragrance, but you do have to be careful when it comes to fragrance.
Yeah, we also recommend people do a patch test, a small little area first, even if they
Exactly.
are going to try
That's
it.
smart.
We put it on our website, and we have people say, "I've never seen. Why is a tattoo brand saying this?" And we're saying because nobody knows you. Everybody's skin is different and made up of a million different things, and and we also offer unscented products as well. But even within the land of fragrances, there are differences between synthetic, natural, essential. There's so many different things. So you really want to have a derm friend that you can bounce these things off of.
I totally agree. And the key is I love that you have in the packaging to do a patch test because that's the best way to know if you're sensitive to anything. And that was really insightful to put that on the packaging because then the person knows immediately, how they're going to do. Although, as I mentioned, most people do okay with fragrance, but it's great to patch test. And when in doubt, patch test.
Well, when you have a child, as I do, as you know, with such severe allergies, you learn through life, and then you think of other people, and you want to apply the same care and consideration that you would with your own children as you're developing products for the mass public. And you say, okay, here's what I would do if it was my own family, my own child. So it's a blessing in that way to have experienced that. One of the other things that we talked about is hydration is really important. We see a lot of myths out there that say we're going to make your tattoos brighter. And out of context, the problem with that is obviously the tattoo is beneath my skin at this point. It's healed. So nothing that we do, medically speaking, is actually going to go under the skin and make the ink itself brighter at this point, other than going in and doing a touch up. But there are really good alternatives and products that can make your tattoos look brighter, look
Exactly.
more vibrant. So we have an oil that we just started recently. We spent about 8 months developing it, and it's an instant brightening. And when I put it on here, what's nice, I don't know if it'll show up on camera, is it's nice for my skin. It makes my skin feel hydrated. It makes it feel soft. A lot of times ladies are going out at night. They have beautiful tattoos. They might be wearing short sleeves. They want to show off their tattoos, or on your legs or any body part. But one of the enemies, I guess, of a good looking tattoo would be dry, crepey, cracked skin. So, what do you say to people in terms of trying to keep your skin hydrated, both for its health and if you were trying to make sure your tattoos looked good?
So I think the two favorite things that dermatologists have and recommend every single day are sunscreen and moisturizer. So those are the two things that I think, for body care, at least, that we consistently recommend. So hydration is key. Moisturization of your skin is key. Remember, our skin is a barrier, so it's there to keep the good things in and the bad things out, and your barrier is reinforced when your skin is moisturized. So it's really important to apply moisturizer every day, whether you have a tattoo or not, but particularly when you have a tattoo, because when your skin is moisturized, tattoos do look better. It doesn't change the color, as you mentioned. It doesn't go down into your dermis, which is a deep layer of the skin, and change the color of your tattoo. But what moisturized skin does is that it makes the tattoo look brighter and more vibrant. And so that's a second added benefit. But as a derm, we just want your skin to be moisturized in general, because that really is what helps to maintain the barrier and maintain a healthy barrier.
And it feels nice. I mean, when your skin is hydrated, it feels good. It
Yes.
feels healthy. And I'm glad you mentioned SPF because, I'm an SPF junkie. I grew up the opposite as a kid on the Jersey Shore lifeguarding. We were idiots for a lot of reasons, but our way of being in the sun, lifeguarding all day, was baby oil splattered all over us. I mean, frying and cooking ourselves. And thankfully, I stopped doing that at a young enough age where it did not
Good.
destroy my skin. But once I started doing tattoos and really got into it, and the cost would go up, you're working with better artists, you're doing more detailed art. It's A, the cost, but B, you spend the time, the pain going through. It's not a fun experience getting a tattoo unless there's something wrong with you and you like the pain of it. And I really became a skincare junkie with SPF, to the point where it's a pain in the butt sometimes that I will literally spend about 15 minutes getting sunscreen all over my body now, because I have tattoos on my legs, my chest, my back, my neck, my arms. So if I'm going to the pool like this last weekend with my kids, but I'm dedicated to it, and that's why SPF is a really big part of our line. And I always say to people too, if you don't use our SPF, use someone's SPF. I don't care. I mean, I think ours has a lot of benefits for people, whether you have tattoos or not. It's the way that we went about putting it together, but we offer a 50, a 30. We have different types of sprays and different ways of dispensing it. But number one is protect your skin from the sun, right?
I totally agree. I always say the best sunscreen is the sunscreen you'll use every day. And, I like that. I think that you were just showing the spray sunscreen, which is great for body, because the biggest complaint people will have is, "Oh, it's so complicated. I don't have the time to use a messy cream and then rub it all in." And sprays really improve convenience. So I love that for body care. If people are reluctant to use sunscreens because they think it takes too much time, or they don't want to put, tons of a heavy cream, then lightweight sprays are very straightforward. But as I mentioned, in dermatology, we love sunscreen. We recommend it to our patients, especially for body care. They will, as you mentioned, make tattoos last longer, because we forget the sun is ultraviolet radiation. It's actually a form of radiation. We don't really think of it that way, but the sun is a type of radiation. And it long term, over years and years and years, really breaks down collagen, changes the elasticity of our skin. And when tattoos start to look fuzzy and uneven, it's because one of the reasons is because there's a breakdown in the elasticity of the skin and the health of the dermis. So regular use of sunscreen, especially broad spectrum sunscreens, prevent that.
Well, it's an interesting point that you make too, because you're talking about the health of the skin and the collagen and tattoos breaking down. And I turned 50 in a few weeks, and for me, as I got more and more into tattoos, I started doing finger tattoos, a lot more micro tattoos in detail. Some of the tattoos on my neck are in areas that you don't have the thickest collagen, and tattoo artists in general, I can't speak for all of them, but they love arms. They love good virgin skin, and I have tattoo artists I've been friends with for years, and they'll look at me and be like, you didn't save me any of your best skin. It's like, do you want to work on my leg? Your arms are gone. Your this is gone, but I've also had really reputable artists that I've worked with who've worked on my neck, and I've shown them certain designs, concepts, and they've said, they'll feel my neck and they'll say, it won't hold. The collagen there is just not strong enough. Or even if it holds for 6 months, you're going to age in a way where it's going to become one big ink splot at some point. So that's something that you really brought up in a smart medical doctor way. The point I want to make to anyone watching about thinking of getting finger or neck tattoos or in some of those body part areas that you're simply not going to have the resilient skin that you might have in your arms or your torso is be smart about your design. Don't just look at something on the internet and say, oh, this finger tattoo that looks like the Wizard of Oz is so cool and dialed in on this size of a nickel. Well, you're not seeing it when it's healed. You're not seeing it 6 months from now. It might just be one big ink splattered finger that all ran together. And it does happen. People have blowouts from tattoos. And, what are some of the worst or bad tattoo nightmare experiences that you've seen where people come in and it's not showing off their piece of art, but something went wrong?
Oh, I have so many, but a lot of times, first of all, one of the things that you just talked about is really thinking about your tattoo and making sure you want that tattoo and being very careful about where you place tattoos. So obviously, people, especially when they're younger, don't really think about the significance of a tattoo too much, and they go out and get a tattoo that they regret. So that's probably one of the more common things that I see, and I've seen some funny tattoos that I understand why the person regretted it. Um, but the other thing is, as people age, and we're all going to age, I always say aging is a good thing because the alternative isn't good. So we're all going to age, is how that tattoo is going to age. So if you're going to pick skin, like you said, the neck or the fingers, make sure that you're choosing a design that is compatible with that area, because that's exactly what happens. The skin, specifically on the neck, is pretty thin. It's very susceptible to ultraviolet radiation from the sun. It's very fragile and more likely to develop that kind of ink splatter look where the tattoo becomes even, bleeds out, just doesn't look beautiful and crisp like the day you had it done. So the key thing I would say is the location, and also think carefully about your tattoo so you don't end up seeking tattoo removal.
Yeah, I think a lot of people these days see so many ads for it, and it's so much more common that they don't put as much thought into the commitment that they're making, because you should not get a
Yes,
tattoo with the thought of, oh, I'll just remove it if I don't like it. It is not that simple,
absolutely
not that
not.
cheap, not that pain free in any way. And,
Yes,
you
tattoo
know,
removal is extremely expensive. Everyone, when they get their tattoo removed, there's like, this hurts so much more than the tattoo.
yeah.
And that it does involve immense wound care, because again, we're breaking up that tattoo pigment in the dermis, which is a deep layer of the skin. So there's a lot of trauma, a lot of burning, a lot of heat. And so not only is it painful when you actually have the tattoo removal done, but the wound care in the upcoming days and weeks can also be painful, because your skin has to heal from the laser that we use to treat the tattoo. So think carefully. I will say I'm always very positive. I've seen a lot of absolutely beautiful tattoos, especially in the last 2 to 3 years. I do think that I'd say even the last 5 years, that the artistry is just on such a high level when it comes to tattoos now compared to, let's say, 20 years ago.
Oh, I think you're so spot on, and I love that you said that, especially as a doctor, because typically doctors were not speaking positively about tattoos. It was scarring your skin or whatever the reference was in general. And I'm glad that there's a newer, younger, more open-minded type of doctors like yourself that are saying that, because you're so spot on. The artistry is through the roof. I'm having so much
Yes.
more fun with it at my age because things that are available to me now didn't exist 10 years ago. Certain tattoos and designs and styles, and a lot of the people tattooing me now, they're graphic designers by trade that came from around the
Yes.
world and had a completely different trade, or they've developed new techniques and new ways of tattooing that just didn't exist before. So really a lot of that goes back into why we developed Derm Dude, but it brings back also, as you were mentioning, wound and wound healing. I wanted to touch on this just so everybody watching also understands a new tattoo and the actual time frame for healing, because generally the understanding is you get a new tattoo and the first 2 weeks are the most vulnerable part, and it is, I mean, especially as it's the freshest wound. But for me, I always say to people, treat it like a brand new tattoo for at least 4 weeks, which to me means no going in a pool, no going in hot tubs, no exposing it to the sun whatsoever, being really religious about keeping it clean, keeping it covered, using your tattoo balm. I think you should use a tattoo balm daily, ongoing as well. But really, I treat those first 4 weeks until it's completely done flaking, and in a few weeks beyond, because I want to give my skin as much of a chance to even cycle through. And I know usually the common thing is about 2 weeks, but you and I were speaking before, and the truth of the matter is, till a tattoo is completely healed is even much longer than that, right?
Right. So I would say I agree with you. I would say 4 weeks, treat it like a baby, baby skin, keep it covered, no sun, everything you just said. But in general, for a wound or for a tattoo to be completely healed, it can take up to 6 months where it's 100% healed. And I think that people underestimate that. It's not like after 4 weeks, you're done, and on day 29, your skin is exactly how it was before your tattoo. It doesn't work that way. Really, wounds, we in dermatology, we deal with a lot of wounds, are dynamic, and it takes months and months and months for that collagen to remodel and for it to settle in and for that pigment to settle in exactly where it's going to be long term. So I think the first 6 months are critical. I think that really diligent care for the first 4 weeks and continued care for 6 months would be helpful for you to get some longevity out of the tattoo and for it to look the best it could possibly be.
And why I love that you said that, and why I bring it up as well, is because we lose that connect. We think 2 to 4 weeks, it's all we ever hear. Nobody ever reminds us that it really is up to 6 months. And I had a friend one time, and she had gotten a really beautiful tattoo on her leg. And I remember, she said to me, "Oh yeah, well, I'm, having my leg. I'm doing laser hair removal on my leg." And I'm like, "Didn't you just get a new tattoo?" And people don't have that concept. And I mean, I myself, in the past have had like shoulder tattoos and back tattoos, and had gone to get like my back or shoulders waxed because I'm a hairy beast and I've done that before. And I, don't hide it anymore that I've done that in back waxing or arm waxing for guys. But you don't think, wait a minute, I just got a new tattoo there 6 weeks ago. That's you don't want hot wax poured on that and then ripped off when it's 6 weeks old.
Exactly.
So there's so many things that really come in important to say to yourself, it's not 2 weeks. It's not even
Yes.
3 or 4 weeks for your skin to
It's
really heal from those.
it's months and months. It's not like on day 29 you could get a blistering sunburn and that tattoo would look the same that if it hadn't. So you really want to protect your skin. I mean, we want to protect our skin in general, but for those people who love tattoos and want to have the most beautiful possible tattoos, just like anything in life or anything in our skin, you have to take care of them. So, and I'm speaking with a lot of experience because dermatologists, we see so many tattoos every single day. And I see beautiful tattoos and I see tattoos that really have not stood up well over the test of time.
Do you have any tattoos?
No, I don't. Too boring.
Well, it was Kim Kardashian said when they asked her one time. She said, "Why would you put a bumper sticker on a Bentley?" Or something like
That's
that.
funny. No, I'm too boring. And the interesting thing is, one of the things I specialize is treating people with darker skin types. So when people with darker skin get tattoos, the interesting thing is that tattoo removal becomes much less of an option because tattoo lasers cannot distinguish between the pigment of the tattoo and the pigment in the skin. So when people with darker skin choose to get tattoos, they really are permanent. There is no, oh, even though we do, as you mentioned, we discourage that, but there is no, oh, if I don't like it, I can take it off. It is truly permanent forever.
Right, right. You're staying with that girlfriend, or you're staying with your wife.
Yeah,
Her
exactly.
name's across your chest, buddy. It's you did it to
It's
yourself.
it's much more challenging. You can do it, but it's much more risky in darker skin types.
As much as I love tattoos and can talk about them all day, we'll jump over to beard, which is another topic that I am a personal fan of. And what is the biggest thing that we see is guys who have a hard time growing as full or thicker of a beard as they want. Maybe it's patchy in some areas. Maybe they have unrealistic expectations for how fast a beard should grow. So if they say on a Monday they're going to grow a beard and by Thursday it's not out to here, they call it a day and shave it and say, I couldn't grow a beard. Itching, flaking, those things. Do you ever have guys that ask you beard questions that come into your practice, or?
Absolutely. I mean, that's actually pretty, especially nowadays, that's a common complaint is that patients want their beards to be thicker and more, have these really thick, full, healthy beards. So a lot of that, unfortunately, is genetic. Some people just will never have a very thick beard just because of genetics. Some people are hairier than others, and we all know that. But there are things you can do to encourage a healthy beard. One of the things, as we mentioned, is keeping your skin healthy. So there's some ingredients, some natural ingredients that have been studied that may help to stimulate growth. Some other ingredients that we sometimes prescribe for the scalp that can help to stimulate growth. But the key is what the hair you have, keep it healthy. You can't necessarily force your genetics into, 4 times the amount of hair that you're genetically kind of predisposed to having, but you can encourage your existing hair to be as full and healthy as possible.
And I love that approach because one of the things is you see a lot of snake oil out there and fake promises of you can go from this to this in a week or what have you. And, we developed a beard product line over a fairly substantial window of time to do it the right way. And I, was able to grow a beard, but not the beard I wanted, not the beard I have now. And I did have some patchiness, and it wasn't as full or as thick, and it wasn't as healthy. It was dry. And one of the big mistakes I was doing was what I realized so many guys do most is that I'd be in the shower shampooing my hair with whatever shampoo I was using, usually wasn't a great one, and then I would take that shampoo and shampoo my beard. And I did never stopped and thought that what I'm putting for the scalp on my head is so different than the skin under my beard, which is night and day different. And what was good for my hair up here was actually stripping my face of natural oils and drying it out. So I would get flaky and dry and it would be brittle. So that was one of the first things, was realizing that you should really use a beard wash or a beard shampoo conditioner that's developed for beards specifically.
Yes. So what you said is the dermatologist's worst nightmare. Yes, you definitely wouldn't use a drying, clarifying shampoo on the face because facial skin is probably the most sensitive skin on our entire body. And so we don't like when people use body care products on their face unless they're very gentle body care products that are known to be safe for the face. Shampoo does not fall into that category. So definitely it's helpful to use things that are not that are specifically designed for the face, not for the scalp. So you want to use hydrating products on the face. You want to make sure that your facial skin is moisturized. You want to make sure that you aren't using something that's actually causing problems because honestly, a really harsh shampoo with really strong, what we call surfactants are basically the ingredients in shampoo that cleans the skin. So shampoos are designed to clean really oily, some shampoos are designed to clean really oily skin on the scalp. And obviously facial skin is never going to be as oily as, really oily skin on the scalp. So we definitely want to use things that are milder for the face, that are appropriate for the face. And we don't want to use things that can actually aggravate the skin on the face and cause flaking and dryness and even dermatitis, just
Mm,
itching and actual a rash.
yeah.
So gentle products are key for facial skin, including the beard.
Well, and to your point, like that skin on the face, it's a much gentler, thinner skin. So you have to be careful. We have a beard shampoo and conditioner, and a lot. I won't go through every ingredient, but we use sunflower oil, we use vitamin E, we use sweet orange, we use aloe vera, and again, these are things that are very gentle. They're hydrating, they're nourishing, they clean because we want to clean, but we also want to make sure that we're being gentle on the skin under the beard. I usually do this analogy where I just thought of it a while ago of like a lawn where two people have a lawn. One guy has a really nice green, lush, soft lawn. You want to walk on barefoot and it sounds great. And the other guy has this brown, dry, dead lawn with dirt spots. And I said, what's the difference? Well, the guy with the really nice lawn, he's not just watering and hydrating the lawn and not just letting the top of the lawn get wet. That would be like splashing a little water on the edge of your beard or putting a little product on the ends of your beard and doing nothing else. He's actually getting down under the lawn to the soil. He's getting to the skin under the beard, and he's spreading out the nourishing things that he's putting into the lawn. His lawn grows really nice because it comes from the soil up. Whereas the other guy, he's just throwing a little bit of water on top of it, and it's just making it dirt. So that's how I always think of it, is that I'm putting, my beard shampoo and conditioner in, and when I use it in the shower and it's foaming, I literally take a beard comb and I comb it through in the shower, so it spreads it out. It's almost, it's like exfoliating my skin underneath. It's helping get rid of those dead skin cells that can look like flakiness and beard rough. And using a really good beard brush, there's many of them out there. You don't have to use just ours, but we use boar's bristle, and when you brush your beard, you're actually helping keep it clean, you're helping circulation, all of those things. So there really is something to beard care. I like to say to guys, if you don't want to spend 5 minutes a day and a few dollars on really good ingredients to put in your beard, then maybe don't grow a beard, because it's not going to reflect back what you're hoping to.
Right. Yeah, I think that, what you're talking about is just good skincare and hair care. So, just like people use shampoos and conditioners that are great for their scalp, there are better products that are better designed for the face. And getting back, it's always like, I always describe this as getting back to basics and just doing what's right for your skin. So using a gentle cleanser. You mentioned sunflower seed oil, which is something that has been really well studied in dermatology. And it's an ingredient that increases hydration and performs better than a lot of other ingredients that are out there. So I love to hear that sunflower seed oil is in that formula. But in general, we just need to take care of our skin, and it doesn't have to be. I'm like you. I believe in simplicity. 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long 14-step, 25-minute process. 90% of skincare can be done in 5 minutes, whether it's for your face or your beard or wherever else we're treating.
Have you
Yes.
have you looked at biotin at all too, the ingredient biotin?
Yes, absolutely.
So these are beard growth gummies, and in this case, we have 10,000 micrograms of biotin. And I take these, and I really have found a really strong result for myself, and have read quite a bit about them, and we studied them while we were in the process. But what is your opinion on biotin as far as growing your
So
beard?
there are a few studies on biotin in the medical literature. Biotin is a vitamin basically that has been shown to be important for healthy hair growth. There are some published studies on vitamins that contain biotin, among other things. And in those studies, the people were shown to have increased hair growth on their scalp. It's primarily been studied on the scalp. And in those studies, biotin was used with other ingredients, but those studies are pretty well respected studies that show that vitamins that include biotin have been helpful for hair growth on the scalp. Biotin is something that is water soluble, so it's kind of like vitamin C. The amount of biotin that's in your body, fluctuates rapidly, from day to day because it's water soluble. So the key with biotin is to take it daily. The only take home message I do tell my patients with biotin is that if you're going to go get lab work at your doctor, make sure you stop it around a week before. It doesn't interfere in any way, shape, or form with your thyroid, but it interferes with the results of the thyroid tests.
Ah,
So it only interferes with the results, not the actual thyroid. So you should stop biotin a week before you see your doctor to get routine lab work.
they're really delicious. I love that you can actually get gummies. People love gummies. These are ridiculously tasty
Gummies are
too.
fun.
They're tasty. One thing I forgot before, then I'm going to hit a new topic with you, is Copaiba oil. We were chatting about this off camera before we started. Our newest tattoo balm, which is unscented, no fragrance whatsoever.
Yay, I love no fragrance.
And this one has Copaiba oil. And this is something that we were so super excited about. I mean, we were in formulation on this for so long. And all of the research that we looked at and working with various labs, the whole world was saying CBD oil, CBD oil. And, I'm a fan of CBD in certain uses, but I think it's kind of started to take on this one size fits all approach where it's not being matched up with what it's being properly intended for. So when it came to tattoo care and we came across Copaiba oil, we just found a lot of benefits in it that we weren't seeing in CBD oil or anything else for that matter. And what was your understanding of Copaiba oil and some of the
So,
benefits?
so it's known to be used for wound healing benefits. It's used in their studies looking at it in wound healing and with scars actually to help improve scars. So it's something that has nice research in the literature. And it's funny that you bring up CBD oil because I often lecture on that topic. And although we have other cannabinoid receptors in our skin, we actually don't have CBD or a significant amount of CBD receptors in our skin. So I think it's so funny. That is a hot topic. But there are other cannabinoid. We do have a lot of cannabinoid receptors in our skin, but CBD isn't one of them.
Which
So
is why, so when people are
I
putting
always find that
CBD oil in all
interesting.
the skincare, you're not really going to get that benefit that you're thinking about in
Well,
many
if that
cases.
CBD oil has other cannabinoids, you might get the benefit, but it's probably not coming from the CBD part.
And that's one of the reasons why we were so big on Copaiba oil. And to your point, it helps with wound healing, it helps with inflammation, all of the things that are happening when you get a new tattoo. So it really helps promote the healing. One of the last products I wanted to share with you is from a new line in our men's grooming line, which is it's in the ball care area. And you see a lot of brands these days that are destigmatizing, doing a very good job destigmatizing, taking care of all of your body in the grooming. And I'm sure doctors use more of a more clinical medical term. We just call it ball care and just kind of cut to it. But we do have a anti-chafing, antifungal cream, which is nice and whipped and cooling, and we gave it a fun name because we're dudes, so we call this one Happy Sack Nut Love. You can tell that did not get named by a doctor or anyone
Definitely not.
or anyone with an advanced
But
degree of any kind. But I'm even putting it on my arm, even though that's not where it goes, because it feels so nice, and I'm obviously not going to apply it to the real place in this moment.
well, chafing is a real problem. I'm in sunny South Florida, so it's hot and humid here 100% of the time. And it's beautiful. The weather is beautiful, but one of the downsides of living in a very humid environment is chafing, especially people who run and exercise outside. That's a very, very common complaint is irritation in the groin in that area. So I love that you have a product that addresses this because I will say where I practice in a very hot and humid climate, that's a very common complaint, especially in the summer.
Yeah, and for us too, we do a deal with a NASCAR driver, Spencer Boyd, and he drives the Derm Dude truck. And inside his truck, we were in Austin recently where he was racing. It gets to be 140 degrees inside the truck. I mean, he's
Wow.
dripping sweat. And what's kind of cool is, I mean, I remember the very first time I used this, like it's cooling. You actually feel it cooling on your skin. It has shea butter, babassu oil, which are really nice for protecting skin from the heat and friction. It has the aloe vera, chamomile, but we also have Avena sativa that you're familiar with, which has antifungal and anti-inflammatory properties. So it
Yeah,
really
oat
is
is
a
definitely
functional. product?
So oat is definitely known for its anti-inflammatory properties for sure. And it's widely used in dermatology for that ingredient with oats. And yeah, I think that the key is that friction is a big problem in the groin, and that's when people get rashes and irritation. So keeping that skin hydrated and keeping that skin also, I guess when we put balms on the skin, it reduces the friction coefficient. So instead of the skin kind of rubbing together very roughly, it makes it more smooth and less likely to develop irritation. So that's how friction creams that are designed to kind of reduce friction and chafing work. So it's a very important formula, and kudos to you for kind of bringing this into the limelight, because people don't talk about this enough and they are even shy to bring it up to their dermatologist. But it's something that's very
Yeah.
common. And I always reassure my patients, listen, this is a common problem and something that we can address with the right treatment.
For sure, and you can use it every single day if you want. I mean, it's look, I have fat thighs; they rub together. I did as a kid. I remember going to the beach and getting sandy and needing to come home, and the only thing I would know was grab some Vaseline or petroleum-based products, like outdated like that, just to keep from the rubbing or something else. But even like we're saying, excessive heat, temperatures, things like that, excessive
Humidity,
sweating.
yeah. And this is a big problem in women too, because women also complain when their thighs rub together, they can get rashes and irritation and even hyperpigmentation, because when your skin is chronically irritated, and people with darker skin, it gets a little bit darker. So this is a very common problem. I don't think we talk about it enough because people are embarrassed
Yeah.
and don't want to bring it up. And I think it's something that can be addressed in routine, everyday personal care.
And I won't dive into it. We spoke about before, so I won't go deep on it. But there are hygienic benefits as well, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about that as well. It's nice to see the destigmatization of people being comfortable talking about wanting hygienic products for areas of their body publicly and openly, and not being ashamed about it, and partners speaking that way with each other and helping each
Yes.
other. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. We're all human beings. We sweat.
Right.
Our
I
bodies
always
do
tell my
things.
patients it's really important. I think this is a really important message, is that, these types of problems, the irritation in the groin, the legs rubbing together and chafing, and all of those things are something that a lot of people experience. This is not rare. You're not the only one
Right.
suffering from this. It's just that in the past, no one really talked about it. And I think it's so important that we raise awareness on these types of problems so people don't feel alone and know that there's treatment options available.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if there's a problem that you can have with your skin or something, I've had it growing up over my life. So I've kind of been the human guinea pig, grew up covered in acne,
Oh,
had
wow.
issues with every single thing. So I was a human skin train wreck. So at this point, to be able to, work on a line and be part of the Derm Dude, journey is really pretty cool, because we actually get guys who are just so comfortable being open. That's why we add some humor to it, and why we do have some fun with it, and why instead of calling it the anti-chafing cream, why we named it the Happy Sack Nut Love. Because okay, yeah, give yourself some love, or your partner's giving you some love, or different things. And if it makes people stop and laugh and whatever, we call our beard shampoo and conditioner Beardgasmic, and it's not necessarily a medical clinical name, but it's okay to also have some fun and add some personality into your products. But the education part is critical. The information and speaking with you is wonderful, and that's why I was so glad that we got to do it again. Above all else, if people just make informed decisions and do something that's good for them, it's not always about buying a product or selling something. It's take care of your tattoos, let them heal, wear sunscreen. If you stop at Target and that's the only sunscreen you're going to get is off the shelf and whatever, put it on. I'd rather someone just get any sunscreen and cover their tattoos, even if they don't, order ours. And the same thing with any product is, take care of your beard, take care of your tattoos, take care of your body, and you're going to be healthier and happier all over. So all that information from you is very much appreciated.
Well, thank you so much. I love being here today. I love talking about these are, topics that I don't get to talk about every day. So this is fun being here and kind of raising awareness and providing some education. So thank you so much for having me.
And you are a famous, rapidly growing TikToker. So people should
I
check you out.
am.
What is your TikTok handle so people can check you out? We'll put it on the screen too.
at Dr. Heather MD.
All right. So you can start seeing a lot of guys over there soon, just asking you about beards and tattoos and everything else. Good luck with Derm Friends. We'll put a post out about it once it launches, and we appreciate you being our Derm friend over these years and all the advice and guidance. And we will see you very soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye bye. Thank you.